这个故事，如果你听起来不累，那么你的英语能力在美国日常生活是完全够用的。如果本视频的点赞数超过800，就会推出跟读版本。我们开始吧。
The city was big and full of animals. In this city, there was a small fox named Nick. Nick was a little boy with big ears and tail. He held the hand of his father, a kind fox who wore an old shirt. They walked into a bank. Nick's father had a dream. He wanted to open a special suit store called Wild & Son to give his boy a better life. They sat in a big office across from a banker. The banker was a sheep. He looked at their papers, then at Nick's father. Finally, he looked at Nick. The sheep did not smile. "Look," the banker sighed. "No." "Please," Nick's father said, "it is a good plan." "No," the banker said again. "We do not lend money to foxes." The office was cold, but Nick felt hot. His father was good and honest. Why were they mean? They tried again. They went to big banks and small banks. Nick watched his father beg, but the answer was always the same: no. Finally, they went to a bank run by rich hamsters. They looked at the fox family with mean eyes. "Go away," the hamster said. Nick could not take it anymore. He was just a child, but he was brave. Seeing a pen on the desk, he grabbed it. "Listen to my dad," Nick shouted. He stood on a chair, waving the pen to make them listen. The hamster pressed a button. A loud alarm rang. Beep, beep, beep. Huge rhino guards came in. They were giants. They grabbed little Nick and lifted him off the ground. Nick kicked his legs. "Stop," his father yelled. "Please, he is just a boy." The guards did not listen. They dragged Nick to the door and threw him onto the hard ground. It hurt his knees. His father ran to pick him up. The police came, but they did not help. "You cannot stay in Animal City," the police said. "You are trouble." Nick and his father packed their bags. They got on a bus for a long ride. Nick looked out the window as the beautiful city lights faded away. The city did not want them. Nick hugged his knees. He felt a tear run down his face. They moved to a small, dirty town. Nick's father found a broken shop, but he smiled as he painted words on the door. Wild & Son. Nick held his father's hand. He knew one thing. The world was hard, but they had a dream. Many years passed and Nick grew up. He was tall now and handsome. He wore a green shirt and a tie. But he still had his dream. He wanted to go back to the big city. He wanted to win. Nick took a train to Animal City. The city was still bright, but things had changed. It was a dark time for animals like Nick. In this city, there were two groups. There were the safe prey animals like sheep and rabbits. Then there were the predators like foxes and bears. They were seen as dangerous. To be safe, the city made a rule. All predators had to wear a collar. It was a collar of fear, made of cold, heavy metal. It sat tight around the neck. It controlled their lives. If Nick was calm, the light was green. But if he laughed too hard, yellow, warning. If he got angry, red, danger. And then, zap! The collar would shock them. Crack! It burned like fire. It made their muscles stop working and made them fall down in pain. Nick wore a collar. Every fox and bear wore one. It was a sad life. You could not laugh and you could not cry. You had to be a robot. Nick hated the cold metal on his warm neck. He wished to be free. He knew other predators wanted to be free too. He had a great idea. He would build Wild Times. It was a secret theme park just for predators, a place to run, roar, and be free. Nick went to the banks again. He showed them his plan. "What does every predator want?" Nick asked. "An escape. A place to have fun. A place called Wild Times." The bankers were still prey animals. They looked at Nick's collar, and they looked at his sharp teeth. "Look," they said, "it is too risky. We do not trust foxes," they said. Nick tried to smile, but his collar beeped. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He did not want the pain. "Okay," Nick said, "I will find money somewhere else." He went to a dark warehouse to meet a big boss. The boss was a polar bear named Kozlov. Kozlov was huge. He wore a nice suit, but he also wore a collar. Nick stood in front of him. Nick's paws were shaking, but he stood tall. "I have a business plan," Nick said. "You have money. I have an idea. We both like money. Let's work together." Kozlov looked at Nick. He saw the fire in the fox's eyes. "Okay, little fox," Kozlov said. His voice was deep. "I will give you the money, but do not fail me." Nick nodded. "I will not fail." Day and night, Nick worked hard. He found an old building near the docks. He fixed it up, built rides, and made it look like a jungle. He hired his friend Finnick. Finnick was a small, smart fox who made a special key. This key could unlock the collars. Finally, the park opened. It was nighttime. Animals came in secret. Tigers, lions, and otters came. They walked through the door. Nick greeted them. "Welcome to Wild Times," Nick said. They walked into a special room. Finnick used his tool. Click! He took off a tiger's collar. The tiger rubbed his neck. He took a deep breath and roared a huge, happy roar. Inside the park, it was a party. Animals ran. A bear laughed. A panther jumped. They were free. For a few hours, they were not monsters. They were just animals. Nick stood on a balcony. He looked down at the smiling crowd and felt warm inside. "I did it," Nick whispered. "I made them happy." He thought of his father in the old shop, Wild and Son. He was a success. But good things do not always last. One day, Kozlov came to the park. The polar bear boss looked at the happy animals and saw the money coming in. "We need to charge more money," Kozlov said. "Make the tickets expensive." Nick shook his head. "No, the animals need this place. They cannot pay more." Kozlov growled. His collar turned yellow. "I gave you the money. You do what I say." "No," Nick said. "This is my dream, not yours." Kozlov did not like that. He was a dangerous bear. He looked at his guards and nodded. Later that night, Nick was alone in his office. The door opened and 2 bears came in. They grabbed Nick. "What are you doing?" Nick yelled. A doctor came in holding a needle filled with blue liquid. It was called night howler, a dangerous poison. "I am sorry, Nick," the doctor said. He stuck the needle into Nick's arm. Fire ran through Nick's veins. His head spun and the room turned red. He forgot his name. He forgot his dream. He only felt anger. He ran out of the office and into the street. He roared. Snap! He bit the air. He was not Nick anymore. He was a savage beast. The police came. They saw a crazy, dangerous fox. "Get him!" the police shouted. They chained him up. They threw him in a truck. They put a lock on the park door. Wild Times was over. Nick woke up in a jail cell. His head hurt. He remembered nothing. The police told him he went crazy. They said he was dangerous. He stayed in jail for months. It was cold and lonely. When he got out, he was different. He was not hopeful. He was angry at the world. The world hates me, Nick thought. Fine, I will hate the world. He stopped dreaming. He sold ice pops with Finnick. They tricked people for money, living day by day. Then he met her. Her name was Judy. She was a small rabbit police officer. No one thought she was a real cop. She wore a blue uniform and had big purple eyes. Judy was looking for missing predators. She thought the mob boss Kozlov knew something. She found Nick because she knew he used to know Kozlov. "I need your help," Judy said. Nick looked at the bunny and just laughed. "Go away, Carrots. I do not help cops." "You have to," Judy said, "or I will arrest you for tax evasion, for hiding your money." Nick sighed. He was trapped. "Fine," Nick said, "but be quick." They looked for clues, but Nick was unlucky. He was framed. Someone made it look like he stole a predator. "Hey, I did not do it," Nick said. "Freeze," the police yelled. Nick ran. He did not want to go back to jail. Judy chased him. "Nick, stop!" They ran into Little Rodentia. It was a town for mice where everything was tiny. To the mice, Nick was a giant monster. The houses were the size of shoes. He tried to run carefully, but his feet were too big. Crash! He knocked over a building. Bam! He stepped on a car and it crunched like a toy. "Sorry," Nick yelled. Suddenly, a sign fell off a shop. It was a giant plastic donut. It rolled down the street and chased Nick. Nick ran faster. Judy was fast. She jumped over the tiny houses. She pulled out a gun that shot sleeping darts. She aimed at Nick. Pop! She missed. Thwack! The dart hit a wall. Nick climbed a fence and escaped. He was tired and panting. Nick hid in a dark alley. Judy found him. "Why did you run?" Judy asked. She was angry. "I am innocent," Nick said. "They framed me." Judy looked at his eyes. She saw fear. She saw the truth. "I believe you," Judy said. Nick was surprised. "You do?" "Yes," she said. "But we are in trouble." Suddenly, big shadows covered them. Kozlov's bears had found them. The bears tied them up, put them in a van, and dragged them into a hotel kitchen. "We have to get out," Nick whispered. "I have an idea," Judy said. She chewed the ropes. Rabbits have sharp teeth. They got free. But they heard voices. Someone was coming. "Hide," Nick said. They jumped inside a food cart and hid under a white cloth. A waiter pushed the cart out of the kitchen. Nick and Judy held their breath. They were moving. The waiter pushed the cart into a big ballroom and left it there. Nick lifted the cloth to peek out. There was a party. Animals were dressed up. Kozlov stood on a stage holding a microphone. "Welcome, everyone," Kozlov said. "Today is a special day." Nick saw Kozlov's son. He was a small cub, only 5 years old. He looked happy, thinking he was getting a present. "My son becomes a man today," Kozlov said. But Kozlov did not look happy. He looked sad. A servant brought a box. Kozlov opened it. Inside was a small collar. "With this collar, Animal City welcomes you," Kozlov said. His voice shook. "With this collar, Animal City celebrates you. With this collar, Animal City accepts you." The little cub smiled. He did not know. He thought it was a medal. He stretched out his neck. Click. The collar locked. A green light turned on. "Yay, Papa," the cub said. "I am a big bear now." Nick watched from the cart. His heart broke. He remembered his first collar. He remembered the pain. He saw the father bear's eyes. Kozlov loved his son. But to live in this city, he had to put his son in a cage. "It is cruel," Judy whispered with tears in her eyes. Nick looked at Judy. "We have to go." They crawled out of the cart and moved toward the exit. "Careful," Nick said. "Do not make a sound." Judy crawled behind him. It was dark. Crunch! Judy stepped on Nick's tail. It hurt. Nick gasped. His heart beat fast. He felt a flash of anger. Beep, beep, beep. Nick's collar turned red. The alarm sounded loud in the quiet room. Every bear turned around. "There they are," a guard shouted. "Run," Nick yelled. They jumped up and ran for the door. The bears chased them. The door burst open. But it was not an escape. A team of animals stood there. It was the SWAT team, the Special Army Police. They were wild boars in black armor holding big guns. "Stop right there," the boar captain yelled. The boars saw the bears. The bears saw the boars. Bang, bang, bang! The boars started shooting. Bullets flew everywhere. "Get down," Judy pulled Nick. They hid behind a statue made of ice. The bullets hit the ice. Crash! Smash! Ice flew in the air. The statue was breaking. "We are trapped," Nick shouted. He saw a small vent on the wall. "Over there," Nick pointed. They ran, slid across the floor, jumped into the vent, and pulled the cover shut. They crawled through the tunnels until they found a garage with an old car. Nick hot-wired the car. Vroom! The engine started. Judy jumped in. Nick stepped on the gas. They crashed through the gate and drove into the night. They were safe, for now. They drove for a long time, but they needed to know the truth about the night howler. So they went to a bad part of town to find answers. They found a witness, a jaguar. But the jaguar was sick. He had gone savage too. He attacked them. He scratched Nick's arm. Nick was bleeding. They ran back to the car. "You are hurt," Judy said. "We need a safe place." "I have no home," Nick said. "I live under a bridge." "We will go to my place," Judy said. She drove to her small apartment. It was warm. "Come in," Judy said. She opened the door. "Surprise!" a voice yelled. Nick and Judy jumped. It was not empty. Judy's parents were there, her mom and dad, and her brothers, and her sisters. There were hundreds of rabbits. "Mom? Dad?" Judy said. "What are you doing here?" "We came to visit," her dad said. "We were worried about you." Then the room went silent. The rabbits saw Nick. They saw a dirty, bleeding fox, a predator. The rabbits gasped. They huddled together, shaking with terror. "Judy," her dad yelled. "There is a fox in your house. Run!" Her dad pointed a spray bottle of fox repellent at Nick. Nick looked down. He felt shame. He stepped back toward the door. "I should go," Nick said softly. "I am making them scared." "No," Judy said. She stood in front of Nick. "Dad, stop," Judy said. "This is Nick. He is my partner. He is my friend." "A friend?" her mom asked. "A fox?" "Yes," Judy said. "He is helping me solve the case. He is a good person." Her brother pointed at a chair. He saw Judy's uniform. It was an orange vest. It was not for a police officer. It was for a meter maid, a worker who just checks parked cars. "Judy," her dad said, "you lied. You are not a real cop." Judy looked down. You are a meter maid, her dad said. It is too dangerous here. You are coming home. Now. Judy felt small. She felt like a failure. She looked at her feet. Nick watched her. He saw her sadness. He felt angry, not for himself, but for her. He stepped forward. He ignored the scared rabbits. He ignored the spray bottle. Wait a minute, Nick said. His voice was strong. He picked up her police badge and held it up. Look at her, Nick said to her parents. She is the best cop I know. She is brave. She is smart. She saved my life. The room was quiet. Judy's dad looked at Nick. I know you are scared of me, Nick said. I know you think I am a monster. The world tells you I am bad. But Judy, she believes in me. She believes I can be good. Nick looked at Judy. He smiled a small, real smile. She is trying to make the world better. Do not take her home. Give her a chance. Judy's dad looked at Nick. Then he looked at his daughter. He saw the fire in her eyes, and he saw the kindness in the fox's eyes. He lowered the spray bottle. He took a deep breath. He walked over to Nick and held out his hand. Okay, the dad said. Thank you for helping my daughter. Nick shook his hand. You're welcome. Judy smiled a big, bright smile. We have work to do, Judy said. We have to stop Kozlov. We have to save the city. Nick nodded. Let's go, partner. They walked out the door together, the fox and the rabbit. They were different, but they were a team, and they were going to win.
太棒了，你把故事听完了，你离英语自由又近了一步。欢迎加入频道会员，支持频道发展。会员可获得影片的中英文对照学习资料、跟读练习视频、影片、MP3 文件等福利。这里是像学母语一样学英语频道，我们下个视频见。